Hi, everyone. I'm Christian Langalis, aka pindet-timmut. If you don't know me, I run Terrell Corp along with Isaac, who should be seated in the audience there. Also with Logan, our other Terrell Corp co-founder from a while back. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you all this year. I had such a good time last year, but alas, my wife is due to give birth in 2 days. So I couldn't exactly make the trip, but I'll be there next year, and I hope you all have a great time. So this talk is on making Urbit real. And what does that mean? That I guess is why we're all here. You know, real is replacing the internet. Real is billions of Urbit users and whatever, our future of comm computing to take over the world and leave everyone alone. So Terrell Corp founded with basically one core notion. You know, we're all Urbit partisans and we all want to make it work. And we started with one simple idea, which is that Urbit isn't real until you can make a living on it. And so that's just because markets basically reveal to us preferences. Markets show us that they show to us what we really desire, you know, what's worth our time, what's worth our money. So there's two sort of constituent parts of what making a living means. That's using Urbit for work. That could be applications that don't have payments necessarily in them. And then it's also earning revenue in Urbit native markets. And this notably excludes using Urbit for fun, just as a hobbyist. You know, we're all sort of also Urbit hobbyists. We're also all generally people who dog food Urbit. That means we use the Urbit software that we build for sort of non-real cases. You know, we're not exactly examples of actual Urbit users because we're overly motivated to use it. So these two categories, using Urbit for work and earning revenue in some Urbit native market, these are distinct right now, but these will inevitably, hopefully, merge long-term. So the basic market logic here is that Urbit has to have a utility which exceeds the opportunity cost of usage. This is fairly just arithmetic. And primarily, this means we have to overcome the drag of Urbit as basically the slow, clunky MVP system that we've always basically known and perhaps loved. So that means making it more efficient, which means lowering the time cost for people who are using it, making it more reliable, making it trustworthy that you could communicate with a client on Urbit or somehow handle some business process that is critical with Urbit. And then finally, making it price competitive so that there's no, what I would call an Urbit premium, or you don't have to pay extra to use Urbit. It's, you know, it works at the same cost structure at the rest of the internet. So I take it that everyone basically can imagine, you know, building these Urbit apps. And so far we've seen, so I don't want to sort of overly explain it, but this is basically what we've seen with Urbit applications so far. So we have tons of toy apps, or what I call toy apps. This is how all Urbit apps start. They do one thing. They just demonstrate the tech. They're basically hackathon projects, but they're not serious products. Then we take the toy and we refine it a bit, trying to turn it into a product. This could be, you know, trying to clone some existing product that already exists on the web, or even try to take Urbit's unique value proposition and, you know, sell something completely new. But so we basically rig up a product, but then it has several problems. It's too unreliable for business use. It's not cost competitive. There are lower friction alternatives. And as I mentioned before, all of the usage is actually just people dog fooding it. It's just the company, the several Urbit enthusiasts, and our mom, basically. So we are now trying. There's a few fake apps, as I call them, on Urbit now, and we're trying to turn them into what I call a real application, where usage is organic. Using the application is totally reliable for business purposes. There's de minimis friction to use the Urbit application over, say, an analog in Web 2. It's cost competitive. It doesn't cost extra to use it. And then one final point, which I think makes an application sort of de facto real, is that it has the capability of handling money. So I'll go into that in a minute. So going from fake apps, which basically look like real apps, but they just are too, generally poor to use, to a real application, which is something that stands on its own 2 feet and is, real, authentic Urbit usage. There's 2 primary processes, and both are sort of market related. One is just market feedback. So that's basically designing an application that you think could have product market fit, selling it, and then getting user feedback and polishing it, and doing that as a loop. And then the second one is sort of a shortcut, which is integrating payments into your application. And so if you have real world, quote unquote, people making payments through your Urbit app, you can basically are assured that you are over the line. Your application actually, it does something real, whether or not it does it at a very small scale, but you're at least over the line of being real. So I'll I'll put Studio, Terrell Corp's flagship app, in the hot seat here. This started as a toy. If you ever used it, it generates a web page from a group's notebook post. And then for the last several months to a year, it's been what I would call a fake app. It has cloned some publishing features of other popular Web 2 apps, but obviously the usage is very low. It's all sort of Urbit hobbyists and early adopters. And so now we're in the process of turning this into something that has real commercial viability. We added payments, so it has ways for people to actually make money inside of Urbit. And we're also just rapidly expanding its features, automating things, and doing sort of a go-to-market strategy where we're onboarding a lot of people. So it now has at least the potential to be an Urbit native tool that people rely on for their daily business, that they could derive their livelihood from. So that Studio itself has a fairly Urbit native stack, which I think all Urbit apps or services will have some variation of these different components. So it starts with a hook. That's basically a way to recruit users from the external web. In our case, this is a Studio native site. That is the why we're starting with this publishing application. It's so that Urbit itself can go out to the external web, and from a regular browser, people can discover this Urbit content, can consume Urbit blog posts, or in the future, podcasts or videos without actually having Urbit. Then it has onboarding. You need to be able to actually draw people into Urbit once you've put some information in front of them. So we have a hosting API that we use to basically give Urbits to users. That's the second part of the stack. Then you need a way to distribute the app. So with our hosting API, we actually have the apps pre-installed. This might look differently if you're doing something else. But in our case, because we have the hosting API, we deliver the app from the get-go. And then we have a user database and a CRM, which is an agent that runs on Terrell. We built credit card payments, which are also a Terrell agent, so people can pay inside of this app. And then fulfillment, so actually, that's, I guess, the cycle repeating itself or concluding. It's an unending loop. That's actually delivering the content again. And so that's actually the ultimate point of the app, which is, the Studio itself just handles that. So I think that, I guess my message to, people who are either have an Urbit toy app, which they made in some hackathon or on their own, or are, trying to go to market with some Urbit product application, is, look at this stack and basically build in components of this so that you can basically go to market on sort of the external web at large. And so, as I mentioned, payments are really, I think, the litmus test for your success in that. If you can get people to actually swipe their credit card with an Urbit app or make a crypto payment, then you've done something right. And so you can actually then treat that as sort of the maximization function that basically, helps you refine what you're doing. It sort of quickens what you're doing. And I mean that in sort of the old English sense, which means, to breathe life into it. It basically is an organizing principle. So Terrell has worked mainly on payments over the years. We've been working with credit card payments. We have plans that we will be talking about at Assembly for general crypto payments. So here's a little matrix, and then we have a product, which is, of course, digital Urbit content. So far, this is a matrix of different payments, payment methods that exist on Urbit, and product categories that exist on Urbit. And green means that, to my knowledge, apologies if you belong on this chart and you're not in one of these green squares yet, that means that there is a live Urbit product that transacts one of these currencies or payment methods for one of those types of goods. So to run through them quickly, we have peer-to-peer Bitcoin payments. That's the Bitcoin wallet, which I created back at Tacen and is now run by the Urbit Foundation. I believe Holium has a Bitcoin and ETH wallet, also for peer-to-peer Urbit payments. Then you can also, I believe, with Holium and Portal, pay for digital content. So you can tip app developers, say, with Portal. You can also, the final green square is we have US dollars for digital content. So then these, on this matrix, the yellow squares, I haven't labeled them all, but these are areas that I believe Urbit companies have intentions to go into. So for example, vaporware, is looking into ways of gating things with NFTs on Urbit. I actually think Holium mentioned this in their talk yesterday. Gating Urbit groups with NFTs. So the yellow are things that I think we could hope to see either later this year or in 2024. And then the blue squares, those are things that I don't believe anyone is exactly going for yet. Notably real assets, purchasing a house or a car. These are applications that we would one day hope to see with Urbit. I'd love an Urbit stock portfolio, but that's sort of something to focus on at a later date. So we're all going for these yellow boxes right now. And so because this is a 4x5 matrix, so that's a lot of different ways to pay by a lot of different things that all have their own unique delivery mechanisms. So, delivering a digital Urbit good, say group access or Urbit content is that has different conditions than say delivering a physical product when the Mars Review of Books wants to deliver a physical magazine. That's a different intersection on this grid. So Terrell's latest project, which we are going to be discussing briefly now and much more at Assembly, is an Urbit payment API. So we have basically a combinatorial explosion between these different payment methods and products, and we want to build an in Urbit API to basically standardize any payment method by any Urbit native product. And so that is something that we very much are seeking your input on. So this is an invitation. Please join us for the Payment API Roundtable at Assembly. So I'll try to, I guess, in the spirit of just keeping it brief, I'll just conclude there. Say thank you to Jay and to Tacen. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to address those. Okay, so maybe no questions. Maybe that was all really
I've got a question.
and straightforward.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like on your list of your stack that you have a CRM database that maybe is running on Terrell. What does that look like at present? Is there plans for kind of expanding what a CRM on Urbit could be and how that might run for, people running Studio or other applications?
Let me see if I got the question right. You're talking about Ethereum payments for Studio content?
No, your CRM agent that you talked about. Oh,
this?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is basically a Terrell agent that we made. It sort of runs on Terrell and it feeds data to the Studio app. This basically keeps track of who's made payments. Also things like, Studio has email delivery. So we keep track of who has received an email if they subscribe to it.
Are there any thoughts you guys have about expanding that out so that, like what access does someone running the Studio site have to that data and manipulations around it and stuff like that for their portion of the customer base?
Good question. So right now we just tell you, right now Studio gives you a list of who your subscribers are. This is a very, I guess, crude or rudimentary CRM, you can see who's subscribed, you can see who's a paid customer, you can see when their last payment was, how much they're subscribed for. Obviously, in the future, this will be expanded for, say, who purchased your physical, good, who bought the T-shirt, who bought the magazine, who bought your merch. It's very much right now. Studio is sort of MVP on Urbit native content, so these blog posts. But our goal is to expand the product categories, so go into physical goods, for example, and give users basically a basic e-commerce interface to be able to derive metrics from what their Urbit native business looks like.
Very cool.
And so this is more just this is a pattern that could be used for I guess any Urbit application. You want to see who's using your app, who's doing certain types of activity, who's following your call to actions or something like that.
Any other questions? Okay, let's give it up for Christian, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. And you can all ask Isaac about this in particular. We definitely want to, especially on this API, we want to have your input. So we'll be setting a date for when that will be coming out shortly. So stay tuned and look forward to seeing you all in Lisbon for that. Yeah, thanks again, Jay and everyone at Tacen.